Hello, my friends.
Good morning, Katie.
Good morning. Good morning. How about everybody just making your how I am right now, bodifying just how I am right now, however it is, with this much sound and movement or as little sound and movement. Ah, just so we're not trying to communicate just through words, which doesn't really encompass the allness of ourselves. So the purpose of our gathering is both to connect and see if you can keep a little bit of movement, breath, following impulse, because we get into a trance that where we don't move and we are not breathing. So to keep your self alive, your pump, your aliveness pump is simply if you're not breathing, breathe, and if you're not moving, move. But and then we have all kinds of bells and whistles we add to that. So that's part of what we're doing, but we're also learning how to utilize all of our energy, even fear energy, to shift fear energy, gather that juiciness and shifting fear into presence, and then a possibility of connecting and collaborating in new ways. So one thing I want to do today is just to review kind of the basics. And the image that was coming to me is a kite string that you can have a really big kite that's moving around in all kinds of ways, and you can stay connected to it just through a little string. So it doesn't have to be a scaffolding, or a Jeep it can be just a string. And I think of the loop of awareness as being your kite string. It's what connects you to your expansion. And you can send your attention inward, and then with your kite string, which is your loop, you can let the loop go the other way. And then when you get way out there, you can just remember your kite string and come back the other direction. So I'd like you to imagine your most favorite kind of kite, maybe one that you've seen, or maybe one that you used as a kid, or maybe that you've seen I remember seeing a movie of this where there was this amazing dragon kite that was moving across, and it had to have like 7 or 8 kite strings with people attached to them. So, if you, but what I'd like you to start with is one kite string and one kite that can be your attention, that it moves from you and then you let it float out into the world. And then you can just kind of tug on the kite string and bring it the other direction. So let yourself play with that for a little bit, of letting your kite float out and then just tug the kite string and letting the kite float back to you and land on you. It can bounce on you or surround you. Ah, wonderful. Great. And notice, so in our loop of awareness, there is your rhythm. So how you let your attention shift. So there can be I'm going, 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 whoops, oh, I'm going, going, going. So it can be a rhythm that is just kind of free form. It could be something like a waltz where you go out, 2, 3, and in, 2, 3. And letting that kite go out, 2, 3, and then in, 2, 3. And just like in dancing, you want to make sure that it connects the other direction. So it's not just floating out and then you get separated from yourself, but let it actually land. That's what your kite string is. And actually, you could attach your kite string to different parts of you. So how about attaching it to your belly so that when your kite comes back, it lands in your belly. So the rhythm, it could be a march. You could be feeling really tense, like yes, 2, 3, 4, and back, 2, 3, 4. So which also gets us into intensity. So do you want your kite to be floating on a breeze, or do you want to send it with a big old north wind? So let yourself experiment with what rhythm, and then adding in what intensity is most suitable for you today, because shifting your attention is what creates that engine of aliveness. And then you can shift it in different ways. So, what intensity really matches you today? So, for me, it's a little bit lighter today. I'm feeling a little bit more like just like a light touch when I'm greeting my cats in the morning. If I come at them with really a lot of intensity, even though they know me really well, that intensity freaks them out. So notice the intensity, not only for you, but the intensity of what you're perceiving out in the world. And how can you let that match? So, how can you let your own attention have the kind of intensity that feels most satisfying to you? So, let yourself play with that for a little bit. And then, if you lose that all, just hold on to your kite string and let your attention go the other direction. Because if it's starting to get, oh, that's just too much to pay attention to, just simply come back to, ah, shifting. And when I do that, I also notice that my breath expands as I let my attention shift. So I can feel a more of an in breath and an easier out breath. So as you're shifting, let yourself notice what happens to your breath. And these are all different elements that you could pretend that you're in school and you have to memorize all of them and do them all perfectly, but actually they're just different possibilities for you. And every one of them is going to expand your ability to give and receive more love and attention, both giving and receiving. So also let yourself notice, are you more inclined to let your attention go out today? Or are you more inclined to let your attention come in and rest? Where do you want to be parking your kite string? So is it more parked out there, or is it more parked in here? And one of the reasons I ask you that is because you can favor the other direction. Because if you're really, really in here, you want to just favor a little bit more of, oh, look, oh, it's sunny today. I hadn't even noticed. Oh, there are birds singing today. I hadn't even noticed. So expanding your attention. And if your attention has been like in the, oh my God, the latest terrible thing that's happened, give more attention to in here. So giving some attention to where are you caught out there, and where in your body would like a little bit more support, more of your presence, more of your breath. Like I'm getting just right below in the middle of my ribs and back, sort of in the, when you've got somebody's back, you put your hand on their back. That's where my attention is going. And so I'm going to let my kite string kind of rest. And I also like it. I've had kites that sort of bonk, they go out and they kind of bonk a little bit. I'm going to let it just gently bonk my back. Just a little hello, bonk. I'm feeling into that. So attention is I think, our most invisible treasure. That the way that we give and receive attention is our basic nutrient in life. And it's our basic pump, our circulation pump. And for me, it's also my creativity pump. that's where, when I'm letting my attention circulate, I get these ideas floating up and new impulses, new creative impulses. So we have your rhythm, which can also include your pace. So it can be, when we get really scared, we kind of go da 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 da. So you might notice what's the amperage right now of like, and you can use your attention to really, it's not really slowing down. I think of it as more spreading out into space. Turning time into space. That's one of the great values of attention. It's that we get caught in urgency. And when I'm caught in urgency, my attention is always out there. So just bringing my attention into being with my body, noticing if there's any touch that wants to come with that. And that those elements, you can refresh your attention by changing any one of them. You can refresh your attention by changing the intensity. If it's been really, you could change it more to that you have a balloon kite that's really floating, and you give yourself a different kind of intensity. You could change the rhythm. You can speed it up or slow it down. You could give yourself more of, like, if you're feeling really like, whoa, you could give yourself a gentle marching rhythm and feel your feet, feel your attention coming into your body through your feet. So not so much through your eyes, but up through the earth, through your feet. Oh, I'm liking that one. That's the one I'm really, because what that does, I can feel it coming up my legs and up my back, and I feel more here. I can feel my feet, and I have more attention to give out to you. So those basic dynamics, you might even want to jot them down so that you have them. I like to have things like that on my computer or on my mirror, so that I'm not just going through a trance through my day. I interrupt my attention at various points. That can be also just very, very helpful. So intensity, rhythm, and also the quality of the attention that you're giving. So it can be, we have all these qualities we've been exploring over many months. So feel which one, is like fanning, or is it more like a spritz that you'd like to be sending out or back? Is it more a jet stream that you want to be sending out and back? Or do you want to send a jet stream out and spritzers for you? So those are all ways that you can expand the use of your attention as a basic form of nourishment. So when you're feeling depleted, this is one of the best things that you can do. And simply shifting your attention. You don't even have to get fancy with it. If you just shift your attention, so out, just like you're breathing or you're blinking, you go out and then in and then out. And I find between 3 and 8 shifts, I can feel a shift in my whole state. So I invite you to experiment with what's your shift dynamic that's most reliable for you. And when would you might want to use that the most, like going into an important meeting, or having something occurring in your life that's been very emotionally challenging. What's your go-to? Is this like your go bag? What's your attention go bag? And I invite you to write that down, because when you're in it, you're not going to remember. So it's great to have a little like, oh, right, I forgot I could do that, as a little assist for you to open up to maximum aliveness, no matter what else is going on around you. So thank you for experimenting with that with me. And now I'm going to pull up the Presence Connect Play and see what it's got for us today. Presence. The invitation is to befriend feelings and be with. So befriending, and this includes fear as well. We befriend by being with. So notice whatever feeling, emotion is kind of up front for you today, sadness, fear, anger, joy, sexual feelings. So whatever that feeling is, I'd like you to imagine you have it sitting right next to you, and I'd like you to just put your arm around it. Okay, and if it's too prickly for that, I'd like you to just sit on a porch swing next to it. That's kind of my favorite move because there's plenty of room on a porch swing for me and my feeling, even if it's a big old thing. And we can be just sharing space together. So being with is the most powerful way of befriending your feelings. And of course, we have lots more, but for me, that's the first move, is to be with. And just notice how that adds to your sense of presence. And then connect, receive communication with open posture and breath. So for me, that's like the template for receiving, is that I check, just like when I get into the car, I put my seatbelt on and I get the seat position so that it's the right one for me and not for Gay, because we both drive. we have one car now. We have one electric car, yay. And so I get my seat raised so that I'm ready to drive. So when you're ready to connect, for me, opening my posture, opening my breathing, and turning toward is my template for connecting. So if you have something that you add to your, this really works for me when I'm wanting to connect, you can just note that for yourself and add that into your connecting. Oh, and then play is match and make bigger. Match and make bigger. So I'd like you to notice what's the major dynamic going on for you right now inside. And I'd like you to just take a moment to let your hands paint or sculpt that. Whatever you're feeling right now, I'm going to do that with you. So that it's either you're sculpting. I like to sculpt because I like to get into the dynamics, but you might like to paint that, but you're letting yourself paint or sculpt what you're experiencing inside. Ooh, and as I do that, and you can make it, what I like to do is to make it bigger, because everybody's always telling us to make it go away, stop it, don't pay attention to it, just go and, just jump over it. But what's much more effective is to make it bigger. So whatever you've got going on inside, match it and then make it bigger, and then notice that it turns into something else. So for me, it turns into more aliveness, it turns into more presence. I get some creative ideas and I'm not feeling stuck in it. So almost everything can be played with. Yeah, beautiful. Great. Thanks so much for playing with me with that. Yay. All right. Well, I'm going to take my leave right now and look forward to seeing you next time. And for those of you who might be coming to our evolutionary playground on Thursday, looking forward to seeing you soon there too. So until next time, and please stay and converse and connect as much as you like. Bye now.
Thank you, Katie.